Tuesday continues here on One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. Members of Fishers Group Pamalakaya and Scientist Group Agham trooped to the Chinese consulate in Makati to protest the continued presence of Chinese forces in the West Philippine Sea. Marian Enriquez joins us live from Mandaluyong to tell us all about this. Marian, good afternoon. What's the latest?
Yes, Charles, Agham and Pamalakaya staged a protest at the Chinese consulate in Makati earlier today to condemn China's continued violation of Philippine sovereignty. The groups insisted that China should respect the fishing rights of Filipinos and end their massive destruction to our marine resources. The marine scientists also reiterated its warning that China's incursion and extraction activities in the West Philippine Sea is detrimental to the marine ecosystem, not only in the West Philippine Sea, but also in the whole Coral Triangle. They noted that 27% of our country's fisheries production come from the West Philippine Sea and emphasized that 600,000 Filipino fishers rely on it for their livelihood, while noting its crucial role to the country's food security. Towards the end of the rally, the protesters set up a model of a sleeping President Duterte underneath a kulambo, while a figure of Chinese President Xi Jinping was made to look like a vulture, stealing all our natural resources. The groups are calling for the resignation of President Duterte over his failure to regain the country's control in the West Philippine Sea. Meanwhile, Bayan Muna and NUPL Chair Nery Colmenares was also present during the protest. He asserted that President Duterte's actions, discrediting the arbitral ruling, betrayed the Constitution and of the public trust, which he believes is an unimpeachable offense. Let's listen to what he has to say.
Pwede talaga siyang sampaan ng impeachment case sa mga mamamayan. Sa 2022 naman siguradong palitan siya ng mga tao dahil hindi na pwedeng tuloy-tuloy itong China dito. Ang problema natin diyan sa 2022 marami ng yamang dagat natin ang naubos ng China. Kung hintayin pa natin yan. Kaya sa mga gustong mag-file ng impeachment proceedings, may legal basis under the Constitution.
Charles, the protesters have time and again implored on the Duterte administration to uphold the interests of the Filipinos and stop being representatives of the Chinese government. Charles?
Thank you. That was Marian Enriquez reporting live from Mandaluyong. Former Defense Secretary Orly Mercado says China is making us lose our will to fight for the West Philippine Sea. In an interview with 1PH sa Totoo Lang, Mercado said that Beijing is slowly eroding our fighting spirit for us to give up our claim to the West Philippine Sea. He added that part of their strategy is also to scare us with the possibility of nuclear war. But Mercado assured everyone that this will not happen, since it would lead only to mutually assured destruction.
Huwag ka nang lumaban. Bumitaw na lang kayo riyan. Dahil sa ang gusto na masunod yung kanilang ambisyon. Alam naman natin, nung maliwanag na kukunin nila yan, lahat yan yun ang first island chain Talagang nasa plano. They have not denied it. In fact, they have been talking about it. Kaya nasa atin na yan. Do we want to lose it without a fight? And it's not going to be we're being scared. Tinatakot tayo magkakaroon ng gera o.
Meanwhile, for maritime law expert J. Batong Bakal, our country stands to lose marine resources, including fisheries, petroleum, and minerals. That's if the president abandons our claim to the West Philippine Sea. Batong Bakal added that even now we are losing the opportunity to utilize our resources in fear of Chinese forces. But when asked about Duterte's resignation amid the issue about our EEZ, this is what he had to say.
Well, sa tingin ko, ang batayan lang naman nun yung siya mismo ang nagsasabi na magre-resign daw siya kung kesyo ganito ang mangyari, kung mapatunayan na ganito o ganyan. No? Ang dami ng beses na niyang sinabi yun. No? So kung meron nga siyang palabra de honor, no, di dapat sinusunod niya kung ano yung sinabi niya. Yun yung ultimately yung batayan. Hindi man lang ito sa batas, hindi man to sa konstitusyon, no? Pero merong moral, may moral basis yan. So kung meron nga siyang pakialam pa sa morality, di dapat sinusunod niya kung ano yung sinasabi niya.
Is 37,000 pesos enough, the starting monthly salary for a fresh college graduate? This has been the subject of online debates in recent days, begging the question, how much is too much? Mobile journalist Pamela Vasquez tries to break down for us the math behind tuition versus salary.
My story starts with a tweet that went viral. You might have seen it too. A Twitter user was shocked that a job applicant rejected the starting salary of 37,000 pesos. The Ateneo graduate was expecting at least 60,000 for starters. That to her is the value of an Ateneo education. Tuition at the University of Santo Tomas averages at least 200,000 pesos a year. A year's tuition is equivalent to 5 months of salary at 37,000 pesos. Not bad. But an engineering graduate says expectations do not always match reality.
Pag graduate ka ng course ng civil engineering and that if licensed ka, magiging mataas yung sweldo mo at least.
Diane's tuition was about 170,000 pesos a year. Her starting pay, 17,000 pesos. A lot lower than the 37,000 the Ateneo grad rejected. In her case, it would take her 4 years to recover her tuition for 5 years in engineering.
And it's coming from a time when a lot of people lost their jobs, and 37,000 seems like a pretty decent starting salary already.
Things aren't that bad if you look only at tuition versus salary. But a recent study shows that Metro Manila is the third most expensive city in Southeast Asia.
If you're going to be on your own, that 37,000 is a huge deficit to the cost of living of the 50,800 in that study.
Given this number, the expectation of the Ateneo graduate is not entirely unreasonable.
No one is speaking about ano ba yung parang dapat na value na dinedemand natin. We all define our worth differently.
When the career you studied for does not pay enough, people change careers.
There will probably be a lot of mismatching. There will be a disequilibrium.
Diane changed career. The civil engineer is now a stock trader. She almost doubled her salary and has since moved out of her parents' home. It's either the salaries are too low, or the tuition is too high, or the cost of living is too expensive. Whichever it is still our choice to make. The Ateneo fresh graduate chose to reject the salary offer, but the civil engineer chose to change career. I'm Pamela Vasquez and we are One News.
More people have shifted to e-commerce amid the pandemic. And instead of the usual online shopping platforms, some netizens prefer buying things through chat apps. Prim Chuirok tells us why in this report on Bloomberg Quick Take.
Would you order clothes, shoes, or food through a chat application like WhatsApp? In countries like Thailand or Vietnam, you would.
Southeast Asia's e-commerce market is valued at $109 billion US, but on average, about 44% of all that value comes from social commerce. Stores and businesses in Thailand may sometimes opt to list their wares all on Facebook or on Instagram, and they often will include a link to a chat application where consumers can message the store directly to ask if a certain item is in stock or how long they will have to wait to pre-order an item, or even just to confirm that you want to buy that item.
The easy access, personalized service, and just having someone on the other side of the line to answer questions before you start shopping has become a huge draw for shoppers in Southeast Asia who are buying and selling things online.
I feel like when an Instagram profile is presented organized well, it's like reading a book. It has a story to tell as compared to other platforms which might be presented as a menu, so it's more lifeless and not as addictive. The prices are also cheaper on Instagram and they have more stuff in stock, they restock faster, and they update you constantly, and they don't use bots to talk to you. So I feel like I get to communicate with a real human, and that's why I really like shopping on Instagram.
Those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later at 1 p.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com so you can stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.